The Man Who Walked Alone, The Life and Legacy of Mahatma Gandhi. The seed of nonviolence, a boy named Mohandas. Mahatma Gandhi, the man who would one day become the face of India's freedom struggle, was once just a boy named Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. Born on 2nd October 1869, in the small coastal town of Porbandar, Gujarat, he was an ordinary child with an extraordinary destiny. His father was a local official, and his mother, a deeply religious woman, instilled in him the values of honesty, compassion, and nonviolence. But young Mohandas was not perfect. He was shy, struggled in school, and even stole money from his family once, an act that haunted him for years. It was this imperfection that made him human, and it was his ability to learn from his mistakes that made him great. His mother's teachings of ahimsa, nonviolence, and satya, truth, became the foundation of his life, though he didn't realize it yet. At 19, Gandhi traveled to London to study law. It was here that he first encountered the harsh realities of racism and prejudice. He was mocked for his Indian attire and vegetarian diet, but instead of retaliating, he chose to understand. This was the first glimpse of the philosophy that would later define him, fighting hatred with love and violence with peace. The Awakening in South Africa, the birth of a leader. After returning to India, Gandhi struggled to establish himself as a lawyer. It was in South Africa, where he went to work for a legal case, that his life took a dramatic turn. One day, while traveling by train, he was thrown out of a first-class compartment because of his skin color, despite holding a valid ticket. This humiliation was a turning point. Gandhi realized that the world was divided not just by borders, but by prejudice and injustice. In South Africa, Gandhi began his first experiments with nonviolent resistance. He organized the Indian community to protest against discriminatory laws, using strikes, marches, and peaceful demonstrations. He called this method Satyagraha, the force of truth. It wasn't about defeating the oppressor but about awakening their conscience. One of the most emotional moments of this struggle was the Great March of 1913. Gandhi led over 2,000 Indian miners on a 240-mile march to protest against a tax imposed on them. They faced arrests, beatings, and even death, but they never retaliated. Their courage moved the world, and the South African government was forced to negotiate. This was the first victory of Satyagraha, and it proved that nonviolence could be a powerful weapon. The return to India, a nation's hope. In 1915, Gandhi returned to India, now a changed man. He had left as a struggling lawyer, he returned as a leader. India was under British rule, and the people were desperate for freedom. Gandhi's arrival brought new hope. He traveled across the country, listening to the struggles of farmers, workers, and the poor. He wore simple clothes, lived in ashrams, and ate the same food as the common people. He wasn't just a leader, he was one of them. Gandhi's first major campaign in India was the Champaran Satyagraha in 1917. Farmers in Champaran, Bihar, were forced to grow indigo for British landlords, leaving them in poverty. Gandhi organized them to resist peacefully. When the British arrested him, thousands of farmers protested, and the government had to release him. This was the first time India saw the power of nonviolent resistance, and it inspired millions. But Gandhi's journey was not without pain. He faced criticism, betrayal, and even violence. In 1919, the British massacred hundreds of unarmed Indians in Jallianwala Bagh, Amritsar. Gandhi was heartbroken but remained steadfast in his belief in nonviolence. He launched the non-cooperation movement, urging Indians to boycott British goods, schools, and courts. The movement spread like wildfire, but it was called off when violence erupted in Chauri Chaura. Gandhi believed that the means were as important as the end, and he would not compromise on nonviolence. The Salt March, a walk that shook the world. One of the most iconic moments in Gandhi's life was the Salt March of 1930. The British had imposed a tax on salt, a basic necessity for every Indian. Gandhi decided to protest this unjust law by making salt himself. He walked 240 miles from Sabarmati Ashram to the coastal village of Dandi, with thousands joining him along the way. The image of Gandhi, frail but determined, picking up a handful of salt from the sea, became a symbol of defiance. The British arrested him, but the movement could not be stopped. People across India began making salt, and the world took notice. The Salt March was not just about salt, it was about dignity, self-reliance, and the power of peaceful resistance. The partition and the pain of freedom. After decades of struggle, India finally gained independence on 15 August 1947. But the joy of freedom was overshadowed by the tragedy of partition. The country was divided into India and Pakistan, leading to one of the largest migrations in history and horrific violence between Hindus and Muslims. Gandhi was devastated. He had always dreamed of a united India, where people of all religions lived in harmony. He went on a hunger strike, risking his life to stop the violence. His love and sacrifice moved the hearts of millions, and the riots subsided. But not everyone was happy with his message of peace. On 30th January 1948, Gandhi was assassinated by a man who believed he was too sympathetic to Muslims. As he fell, he uttered the words, "Hey Ram, O God, a final prayer for peace." The world mourned the loss of a man who had dedicated his life to truth and nonviolence. The legacy of Gandhi, a light that never fades. Gandhi's life was a testament to the power of love and truth. He showed us that even in the face of hatred, we can choose compassion. Even in the face of violence, we can choose peace. His philosophy inspired leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, and Cesar Chavez, proving that his message was universal. But Gandhi's greatest legacy is not in the past, it is in the future. In a world still divided by war, prejudice, and inequality, his teachings remind us that change begins with us. As he once said, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." So, let us remember Gandhi not just as a historical figure, but as a guiding light. Let us carry forward his message of nonviolence, truth, and love, and strive to create a world where every life is valued, and every voice is heard. For in the end, the story of Gandhi is not just the story of one man, it is the story of humanity's endless capacity for hope, courage, and transformation. Conclusion: the echo of Gandhi's footsteps. As we walk through the pages of history, we hear the echo of Gandhi's footsteps, soft but steady, gentle but unyielding. He walked alone at times, but his journey was for all of us. And though he is no longer with us, his spirit lives on, urging us to walk the path of truth, to fight for justice with love, and to believe, as he did, that even the smallest act of kindness can change the world.